this legislation ends the blank check for the president's war without end. It does provide a path to stability in the Middle East by changing our mission in Iraq and enables us to focus on the threat of terrorism. Chairman Obey's bill satisfies each of these requirements. It meets the immediate needs of our troops, but allows Congress to decide in a few months whether the situation on the ground in Iraq justifies using the remaining money to redeploy our forces or continue the war. The President's own benchmarks, these are the President's own benchmarks for measuring progress in Iraq, will be the centerpiece of that evaluation. You would think that the President would embrace this legislation. It has his benchmarks. It asks for a progress report. Perhaps he thinks there will be no progress, so he's afraid of that report. And then a vote in the House as to whether to continue the war. The President's own benchmarks for measuring progress in Iraq, again, will be the centerpiece, his benchmarks. This is the kind of regular and responsible review of the war Congress should have been conducting since the mission began more than 4 years ago. A plan to do that. Even some members of the President's own party have finally realized that he has lost credibility with the American people. The President said today that he would accept benchmarks. But what he fails to accept is accountability for failing to meet those benchmarks. Benchmarks without consequences are meaningless. It's interesting to me that in his President's No Child Left Behind legislation, he establishes standards for America's school children. And if those children do not meet those standards, there are serious consequences for them, for their families, for their schools, and for their school districts. And yet, while holding America's school children accountable with consequences, the President refuses to hold the Iraqi government responsible with consequences, while our young people in Iraq are dying.